Good afternoon, everyone. This is Rich Gaasenbeek here with Travis. Our topic today is less than 1% of all online leads close. There is a better way. Your two presenters for today are myself, Rich Gaasenbeek. I'm one of the co-founders of IXACT Contact CRM, and I'm responsible for everything revenue related, sales, marketing, business development. And I'm delighted to have with me today my good buddy, Travis Saxton, who's the Senior Vice President of Technology Consulting for T360, the dominant real estate consulting service out there. Travis is going to talk a little bit more about T360 in a minute, but we have so much to cover today. A lot of really cool information that I think you're going to find interesting at a minimum and possibly mind-blowing. So let's jump in. We've only got a half an hour and there's so much to cover. Here's our agenda for today. And again, I will be giving Travis a chance to tell you a bit more about T360. But number one, we're going to look at agent personas. What are they and why do they matter? Secondly, we're going to take a look at what T360 calls the lead gen math. Very cool stuff. And the problem with an over-reliance on online lead gen as a brokered strategy. That leads us to There is a Better Way, title of our session today. Talk a little bit about the implications of this better way for agent recruiting and retention. Take a look at some recommended next steps. Give you a quick introduction to IXACT Contact, and then we'll discuss key takeaways. And we have to cover all of this in the next 28 minutes. So Travis, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about agent personas. What are they and why do they matter?
Great. Thank you, Rich. Travis from T360 here. For those of you that don't know T360, we are a research and consulting company in the residential real estate space, well known for our Swanepoel Trends Report, the Real Estate Almanac, and of course, as Rich mentioned, consulting in the space. So one of the areas that we've been playing with, especially in the last 2 to 3 years, is this area of agent personas. And really it started to kind of bear its head a couple years ago when I would see these mega teams or very productive agents on stage at Inman or elsewhere. And you know, it might be like a Chris Lindahl or Gary Ashton or Mark Spain or somebody like that. And they're very refined speakers and teams, and they have business processes and practices. And yet they're preaching to an audience about all of their tactics and strategies that work best for them. And it got us thinking, not all agents are created equal, and what might work for one agent certainly might not work for another agent. So we started to do some research on this. And it really came full force for us when in the agent personas, we decided to, we studied some brokers as well. And we said, oh, wow, brokers are kind of mapping to some of the same habits as their agents. And then I was out at Inman one year talking with 2 brokers that were literally opposite types of brokers, very traditional and very lead generation centric, and they were sharing strategies. And I paused for a moment and I said, wow, these 2 brokers probably shouldn't even be talking to each other when it comes to their technology strategies. So Rich, let's look at agent personas and take a little deeper dive. And we're going to go through the audience. What are the 4 different types of personas? Now, this is set out to be a quadrant, so you can actually gain some insights as you look at the axes too. So as you go up and down in this axis is basically the ability for that type of agent to be able to directly sell or indirectly sell to the consumer. And as you go horizontally from left to right, you're going to see cold leads versus warm leads. And basically what that means is that's the affinity that this agent has with the consumer. Do they actually know them? Are they directly selling to them? Or do they know them and they've been able to build an audience, but they're indirectly selling to them? So let's take a deep dive into each of these and what each of these key requirements are for the 4 different types of personas. So we got the networker, the marketer, the prospector, and the converter. And so Rich, why don't you go to the next slide? And so the networker has some key challenges. They're restricted by their circle of influence. They have some difficulty scaling. They get into a comfort zone trap, and they have some requirements. They need relationships. They need their community, and they have an identity. Now, I'm not going to read all of these to you, but you can see here that each different persona has different challenges and different requirements. So let's go to the next slide, and we're going to talk a little bit about what are some of their key components. So go ahead and flip to the next slide there, Rich. And so, or key practices. So the networker is really involved with networking, obviously by the name, relationship building, community involvement, and staying in touch with their sphere of influence. Now, as you look historically, the networker has been a big part of residential real estate for many, many years. And if you look at between the networker and the marketer, those two personas make up about 86% of all real estate agents. That only leaves 14% on the left-hand side of this quadrant between the prospector and the converter. And if you look historically there, the prospector, FSBOs, expireds, door knocking, some of the more older but traditional coaching philosophies, that one's actually been diminishing as new cutting edge strategies have come out with lead generation. And the converter, which makes up about 7 to 10% of that 14%, is the one that's actually growing more and more as we speak. And so the converter, the lead gen guys, the ones that have a system, they need follow-up response, they need lead gen, they need, it's all about numbers for these guys. Leads in, conversion rate, da, 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 da. And so we'll talk about that. And I'm not saying one of these is better than the other. That's not what I'm saying at all. There's some converters. And as a matter of fact, I did a study just recently with a large e-team or from a brokerage that has a bunch of converters in there, and they're able to get a 630% ROI on their lead generation spends. And so there's ways that the converter or even the prospector can be very successful at what they do. But with 86% of the industry falling on the right-hand side of the quadrant between the networker and the marketer, this is where we're going to spend a lot of time today and energy, and why this needs to be a large focus for many brokerages, especially more traditional brokerages. We'll take a moment to talk about the marketer, because the marketer has a unique skill set. They're able to create a very warm lead or high affinity with the consumer, and it's usually done through a niche marketing strategy. They might be horse property experts or golfers that know all the golf properties and are connected to the golf pros and the golf communities and stuff like that. It might be waterfront properties, and they've been able to brand and market to a niche community. And so those are the two most popular types of agent personas, the networker and the marketer. That's where we're going to spend a little bit of time. Rich, let's go to the next slide and talk a little bit about their technology needs. Now, this is where when someone comes to you and says, hey, use this CRM, it's the next best thing since sliced bread. Well, that may not be true if it's a different type. If the networker is talking to a converter, they may need different resources and different tools and skills for their business to be successful. And so the networker, for example, needs a basic CRM. They need a basic email marketing and touch system. They really need reminders just to stay in touch with their business, with their sphere. And they need a social media presence so that they can grow and connect to their spheres, their sphere, and ultimately multiply their relationships in the industry. So it's all about time and friends. The marketer down in the bottom right-hand corner needs content. They really need content. So a CRM system with email marketing, they need things like reports and offers and AVMs and what's your home worth and that kind of stuff. But they're really speaking to a very refined and specific audience. The prospector needs a data system so that they can scrub and clean and find leads and find that next deal that they're willing to roll up their sleeves and go out and directly market to and mail to. They need a dialer and stuff like that. And then the converter needs the metrics. They need the numbers, the lead generation, numbers in, numbers out. It's all a numbers game for those folks. And I'm generalizing a little bit here. And there are some ways that some people overlap into some categories. There might be a really good networker that maybe has carved out a little bit of lead gen as a skill set. But for the most part, most agents fall firmly inside of one of these personas as well. So let's go to the next slide. And let's talk a little bit about the problem with online lead gen. And I'm not saying don't do online lead gen. That's not the point of this presentation. The point of this presentation is there's 86% of the agents out there that aren't wired to do online lead gen. And the harsh reality is that less than 1% of all online leads close. And then most online leads that do close go to a select few agents that have really refined business processes and a business model. It was actually a second I think it's the #2 trend in the Swanepoel Trends Report this year is this new age lead gen model where it's a very diversified, very targeted approach to brokerage, and they're powering basically an e-team, but running it from a brokerage business model. So it's very popular. Many brokerages make lead gen their focus for attracting and retaining agents. And here's the problem with that is we're actually disregarding the 86% of the agents that actually need different tools and skills when it comes to retaining their business or growing their business. And so we're basically leaving 86% of the agents out in the cold. And I know Rich will talk about this a little bit too, but it's like, if everybody's hyping lead gen, what is the actual value proposition that we're seeing? And how do you differentiate yourself? So let's actually look at the numbers now so we can really truly see, if you don't believe me, here are the numbers. So there's approximately 200 million real estate leads generated per year. This equates to 18 leads for every single transaction side. And if we break down where those leads really come from, 91% of home sales use a realtor, 63% are directly attributed to your sphere, and 14% are yard signs, home builders, and FSBOs. That all totals 77%. So that means there's 14% for lead generation that's left over. That's about 650,000 transactions or 1.3 million sides. And if you do the math there is for 1.3 million sides, 200 million leads, there's 153 internet leads per side. And if you factor that math out there, that is a conversion rate of 0.65%, which is abysmally low. And yeah, you can get 4%, you can get 3%, you can get 5%, but in the end, the average across all agents, all sources, all leads is only 0.65%.
All right. So thank you, Travis. Some amazing information there. I think that whole model of the agent personas has so much insight embedded in it for any brokerage. And we're going to talk about what to do with some of that insight. And I love the lead gen math as well. And, to me, this also solves a mystery. One of the things we find talking to brokers is that a lot of brokers are frustrated, in some cases, wildly frustrated with the poor job that their agents do with the leads that they're given. So here the broker works so hard, they spend so much money, they generate these leads, they put the system in place, and it's like scattering, seeds on stony ground, right? And what do they see? They see slow response or poor follow-up or no follow-up. And it doesn't seem to matter how hard the broker pushes, nothing changes. It drives them to distraction. And of course, the result beyond broker frustration is a pretty bad ROI. But when you look at and understand the agent personas, the mystery disappears. Basically, brokers have, and increasingly over the last few years, been asking their agents to do a job that the agents are completely uncomfortable with and unequipped for. So, mystery solved. So there is a better way. And as Travis said, I just want to be clear here. I'm not saying that online lead gen doesn't matter. It's actually a critical part of today's business. And that converter agent persona, although it's maybe small today at 7 or 8%, as Travis said, it is growing. But it's the reality is that in the average brokerage, 86% of the agents are over at the other side, the networker or marketer. And that's what we're going to focus on here because largely they've been ignored. You go to an Inman or you go to NAR, and like Travis said, you see the guys on stage doing the speaking. It's that small subset of the 7% converters, and in fact, it's the best of them that have these high-powered teams with hardcore processes and tools and instant response, and that's who sort of the industry is focusing on. Meanwhile, there's all these other 86% of these people, the people in their mid-50s, the former teachers and former civic workers that are trying to build a career in real estate and building one, but they need more help, right? So online lead gen is important, and for a subset of agents, it's the mainstay of their business. But we also got to focus on the other 86%, and help them to succeed. And for these agents, the networkers and marketers, the most important single thing that they need, and it was on those agent persona slides, it's actually CRM, and not just any CRM. So they need a CRM that is focused on their needs and how they do business, which is very different than the prospector and especially the converter. So what is it they need specifically? Well, they need a CRM that's really focused on their sphere, that helps them to expand their sphere, to keep in touch and stay top of mind with really everybody in their database, past clients, even current clients, hot prospects, long-term prospects that may not be moving for nine or 12 months, but if you stay in touch, they're going to buy or they're going to sell. They're very high quality leads, but they're long-term leads or long-term prospects. Typically, as an industry, don't do well at those. So, past clients, hot prospect, long-term prospect, and all those important referral sources, whether it's the people in your business directory, your services directory that you've developed referral relationships with, or other agents across this, across your state or the country, right? They need a CRM that helps them to build relationships, that's built on getting to know people better, getting to know them on a personal level. Ninja Selling, talks about Ford, which is family, occupation, recreation, and dreams, right? You got to have a CRM that captures that information so you can build that into your conversation. You need the keep in touch reminders and so on. And ultimately, you need a CRM that by doing these things well, the first three, ultimately what you're trying to do here is grow a business based on an increasing flow of referrals and repeat business from a loyal and expanding clientele. That's the kind of CRM that networkers and marketers need, and it's very different from the kind of CRM that is optimized for the converter. Now, what about recruiting and retention? Travis mentioned this. So often when I'm talking to brokers, one of the things I realize is that a lot of brokers feel that the promise of leads is sort of their best way to attract and retain agents. And you can understand it's pretty straightforward. Hey, come work for me. I'll give you a steady flow of leads. What's not to like, right? But ask yourself this, with every brokerage doing the exact same thing, because this has been the trend the last number of years. If everyone's doing the same thing, is it really a recruiting differentiator, right? And let's look at the flip side of recruiting and retention. Let's look at the retention side. If you're only helping 14% of your agents, the prospectors and converters, to succeed, is this really helping retention? I would propose to you that the best way to actually help your recruiting and retention is very simple. Just become known as the brokerage that helps every agent to be successful. If you think about it, when an agent decides to leave, it takes effort, it creates chaos, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. They're motivated by something. Why are they leaving brokerage ABC to go to XYZ? When you boil it all down, they're looking for success. They think they're going to be more successful at the next brokerage. Now, success has various definitions. It could be, I want to be happier, I'll make more money, more GCI, but ultimately they just want to be more successful. So why not focus on a strategy, develop a technology approach where you're helping every agent, you're giving every agent a chance to be successful, not helping a small subset, the power teams, to be wildly successful in their converter niche, right? That's kind of, so I would say that really what we're going to talk about here works for recruiting and retention. And it's not really the space that most brokers are focused in right now. So just become known as the brokerage that helps every agent be successful. And you can prove it, by the way. This is not a subjective thing. It's not like we have the best culture. How do you prove that? I'm not saying culture is not important. It is, but it's very subjective. But you have defining agent success is very objective, right? It's, how do your agents do? What's the average income? It's numbers. You can prove it. So if you can develop this, if you can lift all the agents in your boat, not just a select few, the numbers will bear it out. You can prove this. So I think it's a very powerful recruiting and retention strategy. Whoops. So so here's some recommended next steps. Let me just do a quick time check here. Yikes, 3:19. So step one, think about your agents. Are they all the same? Probably not. So why give them all the same tool, which is what the vast majority of brokerages do. They pick one tool, one technology, and they roll it out to everybody. So what I'm suggesting here is take some time, think about your agents, and map them against the 4 agent personas. And what percentage of your agents in your brokerage fall into each of these personas. Then we look at what percentage of your agents are equipped to succeed at the online lead gen game. And let's talk specifics here. Again, Travis touched on it. To really win at the online lead game, you need the right skills. You need the responsiveness. You need to be able to drop things at the drop of a hat, because if you don't respond in 30 seconds to a lead, someone else did. You need the discipline. You need the processes. And what I call the intestinal fortitude, the guts to take the unending rejection and more to build a business based on online leads. Does, the average 52-year-old former engineer have that, or former teacher? or public servant? Very few do. And yet those are the ones that the limelight shines on and that so much of the attention goes to. So step two, now you've looked at how your agents are mapped out, evaluate the tools, technology, and training that you're providing, right? And again, key question, are you providing tools that help all your agents or just some of them? And if your tools and technology is mainly focused on lead gen, what are you doing to help your networkers and marketers specifically, with their sphere and relationship marketing? These are tough questions to ask. The answers are not necessarily pleasant, but they're important. So step three, is there a gap, right? And if there is a gap or a mismatch between what you're providing and really what your agents need, then step three is make a plan to fix the problem. Typically, plan can go one of two ways. And this is assuming there is a gap. If you look at your brokerage, and let's be clear, let's say you look at your brokerage, you map your agents and say, no, actually, we've got 60% of our agents are converters, another 10% are prospectors, or 15%, and only 25% are marketers and networkers. So, you may not have a gap. You put your money where it needs to be, right? But the industry data gathered by T360 says for the average brokerage, 86% are networkers and marketers. So what's the solution? There, one approach is the complementary. So you don't touch the lead gen solution you've got in place. You leave it in place. It is an important part of the business. And for a certain subset of agents, it is the business. It's driving their business and possibly a lot of business for the team and the brokerage. So then you go complementary. You say, okay, here's our solution for the converters and networkers. But here's a second CRM. It's a complementary solution that we support here at ABC Realty that's for our networkers and our marketers, right? If on the other hand, you do that, persona analysis and it swings the other way, you don't have 86% networkers and marketers. Maybe in your brokerage, it's 95% networkers and marketers. Then complementary strategy may not make sense. It may be better to look at a complete replacement. So talked about, what networkers and marketers need. And again, if I can't flip back to that slide, but a lot of it was a good CRM, right? With content, with keep in touch reminders and so on. So I'm going to take a look at one CRM that happens to be a good fit for everything we just talked about, which is why we are sponsoring this session. Let's take a quick look at Exact Contact. Quick time check, we're good. So what is Exact Contact? Basically, it's an all-in-one real estate CRM and keep in touch system that's easy, intuitive, and affordable. And I know every CRM, in fact, I think every software on the planet claims to be easy to use. Haven't found one yet that boasts of being hard to use. But all I can say is this: in CRM, it's not true. And we have literally hundreds upon hundreds of clients testimonials publicly available that have told us, oh my God, especially if they're coming from something like a legacy system like Top Producer or one of the enterprise CRMs, they cannot get over how simple and intuitive Exact Contact is. But most important for this presentation, most germane, is that Exact Contact was designed specifically from day one, 12 years ago, when the design process started for networker and marketer agents, right? So we developed a little pithy slogan internally just to try to get at the essence of what we do. And this is what we came up with just recently. Exact Contact helps agents, or maybe we'll use it in the personal. If you're an agent, Exact Contact helps you to become the real estate professional that past clients never forget and prospects choose to work with. That's the essence of what we're all about.
And Rich,
some of the go ahead, Travis.
I'm going to take a question live here to basically give a little clarification. Kaveri asked a really good one. It's just to confirm that networker and marketers fall under sphere marketing. That's not necessarily true. The networker is the sphere marketer, the relationship builder. The marketer persona is somebody that knows a finite area or audience. And like I mentioned, it could be lakefront properties in Lake Travis or something like that. And they've done such a good job of marketing and getting to know those homes and canvassing that neighborhood or sending content to that area that when people think about it, they're able to generate warm leads. They're in the HOA meetings and stuff like that. And so they're the person that people think of. So when someone reaches out, it's already a warm lead because they feel like they know that person. Versus the prospector is someone that's done it old fashioned, old school, rolled up their sleeve, knocked on doors, FISBOs, expireds. And then the converter is the new age paid lead gen. So that's the differences.
Right on. But in both cases, for both the networker and the marketer, when you had that slide on their requirements, their needs, CRM was a key component for both of them. What they look for in a CRM is slightly different. The networker, it really is all about those keep in touch reminders, those keep in touch call reminders, birthday reminders, move-in anniversary reminders, and so on. The marketer still needs a good CRM, but is also looking for a powerful email marketing platform. They're looking for content, and both of them actually, they need a website. The nature of the website is slightly different in each, and they need social media. They need a presence on social media, which is a great summary of what's on my slide right now. So the key components of IXACT, first and foremost, it is a very robust real estate CRM with all the things, the keep in touch features that the networkers need, but it's also a very powerful email marketing platform with a ton of content. There's a whole different presentation I do where I really talk about how our marketing automation and the content that we provide is almost next generation, but that's sort of not where I'm going today. But I will point out that in addition to CRM, powerful email marketing platform with lead nurture campaigns, campaign reporting, a beautiful branded automated monthly newsletter, we also provide websites and social media content posting to help agents to, whether they're networkers or marketers, to keep in touch and to engage with the people in their sphere or the ones they're trying to attract into their sphere beyond just call reminders and email and texting, but also through the web and through social media. Concierge, I'm going to talk about a bit in a minute, and I'm getting very tight on time here, so I'm going to have to pick it up a bit. So those are key product components. What are the key benefits? Just to again bring it back to what this means to the agent. 5 key benefits. First and foremost, it is a CRM, helps them to organize and manage all their contact data in their overall business, right? And for many agents, just providing organization and structure and clarity to the chaos that is their contact data is transformative right there. For many agents, you do that, you've just changed their career. But point number 2 is what I call the heart and soul of IXACT Contact. This is where our passion lies. We do a great job, point number 1, but this is where we get passionate. It's helping every agent to stay in touch, keep in touch, stay top of mind with everybody in their database in the right way, in an intelligent way, right? Whether it's a past client, current client, important referral source, long-term lead, hot prospect, doesn't matter. It's this idea that nobody will forget you ever. And, I'm sure you've all heard, or most of you have probably heard the NAR data. This is a survey NAR does every year, year after year. The data sadly doesn't change much. The good news is 85% of consumers are happy with the job their realtor has done for them and would use that same realtor again on their next transaction. And yet, when asked on their next transaction, so did you use your previous realtor? Less than 25% do. Asked why? I couldn't remember the realtor's name. That is a tragedy of immense proportion. The lost GCI to the agents who should have got that repeat and referral business is in the hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars. And that's the thing we want to drive a stake through the heart of. You work with IXACT Contact, you will never, ever again miss a referral or repeat transaction that you were entitled to based on the good job you did. Now, we do more. We're not a lead gen system, but by God, we believe in helping agents to nurture and convert their leads. So from automated lead capture through conversion and so on, big part of the system there. We also have goal setting. So you can set goals in IXACT Contact, track your performance. If you're an individual agent, a terrific way to hold yourself accountable, week by week to see your progress. And if you're a team leader, you can set goals at the team level and then push those goals, break them down to the team member level and track their performance as well. Last slide here, and we are getting close to time. Although IXACT Contact is, a real estate CRM for marketers and networkers, it's an agent CRM or a team CRM. It's not a corporate database. It's an agent/team database. We work with brokers all over North America that want to bring a great CRM, to their agents. I think we're closing in about 100 brokerage relationships, partnerships, and a couple of key bullets. First of all, we have a very flexible and affordable approach to pricing. Whether you just want to kind of have a recommended CRM, but your agents sign up on their own, we'll give you a volume-based discount, or if you're looking for a license for your brokerage, you can provide it to everybody. I guarantee you, if compared to other companies you may have talked to, I think you'll find IXACT Contact's pricing pretty affordable. His system can be highly customized. So in addition to all the content we provide, if you want to provide your own email and letter templates, entire marketing activity plans, your own custom, new listing plan, that kind of thing, we can do that. You can customize the newsletter we provide, the websites, and so on. We can integrate into your agent portal via a single sign-on, and we'll work with you to develop a custom rollout and training plan with the simple goal of maximizing agent adoption and usage. And then on that point, I mentioned our concierge setup service. This is key. So this is not just something that's available to individual agents. If you work with us on a partnership basis, every single one of your agents will get a one-on-one concierge help. And the goal is to get the system up and running and working for them and delivering sort of, real business level value from day one. So it goes way beyond just uploading their contact data. That's the start, and then we go way beyond that. So some session takeaways here. Takeaway number one, agent personas help us to understand the different ways that agents work and their different requirements and their challenges and so on, and the different tools that they need to be successful. Takeaway number two, the lead gen math tells a pretty scary story with less than 1% of all online leads closing, 0.65% to be precise. And then takeaway number three, brokers need to provide their long overlooked marketers and networkers with a CRM designed to help them succeed. So apologize for going a couple minutes over. Thank you very much for your time. And thank you so much to Travis for joining me with this presentation. I hope you found it helpful. Let us know in the Q&A or the chat. And if you'd like copies of the slides today, or you have any questions you want to ask, or just if you want to learn more about Exact Contact, email me at info@exactcontact.com. That's me. Or again, to just learn more about the company, just go to our website, exactcontact.com. If you're an agent, didn't mention it because this presentation is targeted brokers, but feel free to sign up for a 5-week free trial. Just go to our website, click the button.